is looking really good. It's fully cured now. I made a mistake in the last video, and I thought this was part of the cruise control, but one of the viewers of the channel actually told me this was for the wiper delay. So this is the wiper delay module. Yeah, I have these electrical schematics, so I could have just traced the wires. This module was built by Electron in Rochester, Michigan. I want to hook this wiper module back up because when I see if the truck's going to run, I want to see if the wipers are going to work too. Time to get rid of this old boat battery. This radiator overflow tank is in my way. Extra quart of oil. There's 2 screws holding this in from the bottom side of the fender. That bottom bolt just broke off. This piece here is not factory. It's been welded in. It's welded in 2 places, one here and one further up. That battery tray that was in that truck was cobbled together from different vehicles. This is a good used one from a C10 that I'm gonna put in there. There should be some weld nuts right here and right here, but I see they've been pulled out. This hole for the bottom mount is also not lining up, so I'm gonna drill another hole here. She's pretty solid now, except for right here at the bottom. You can see where it's rusted out. Can't put a bolt there. See, it's rusted out pretty bad. I got this factory style battery hold down. It's good and solid now. Now we can jump railroad tracks and hills and everything else and not worry about the battery falling off. Next thing I got to do is sort out this wire in here. The ground's going to be easy. For the ground, you'll have your engine ground right here direct to the battery. You also have a sheet metal ground, and it connects right here. And then you'll have another wire coming from your sheet metal ground down to your frame. So your frame ground, chassis ground is right here. You can see it's broke off, but that's where it goes. Ground cable. I'm gonna take off these heater hoses. They're in my way for the next job I want to do. This positive cable is a mess. If I look at the schematic, it shows one wire coming off the positive cable. These two, I believe, should go down to the starter solenoid. They're green here, but they turn red down here. So it's showing one black wire coming off the battery. Showing two wires here, two red ones connected to the solenoid with fusible link, which they're all cut out. And then one of the red wires runs back to this junction block right here. That's the junction block. There's a couple things I want to do under this truck. This exhaust downpipe is loose. The bolting on this downpipe is a mess. I believe the threads may be stripped out because they have 2 bolts and 2 nuts and then a stud here. So I'm gonna pull this off and see what's wrong with it. I'm also gonna pull this starter off so I can shim it and get to the wiring. That's the positive battery cable. Get the starter wire next. Guess I might have to take this drive shaft off. I believe I can get it out if I just jack it up a little bit, the frame. Next thing I'm gonna do is pull this manifold off. Starter wires. Go and clip these wires. This is your key switch to the starter. And these 2 power wires I will terminate at the starter. This key switch wire was about to start a fire. The wires are exposed here. This is the kickdown cable for the transmission. It's a 350 turbo. It's broke off. I don't see the other end of that kickdown cable here, so somebody must have just cut it and took it off. That donut blowing out here in the exhaust, and like I thought, these look like they've been stripped out, so they just put bolts and nuts here, stud here. And then there's another bolt and nut on this side. So this is the only good thread boss right here. These two bosses, the threads are gone in them. So what I've done, I've ordered the stud kit that comes with the springs and the flange nuts. And what I'm gonna do, once they come in, because I don't know what size the thread is yet, I'm gonna, once I get them in and I can measure the threads, I'll get a set of helicoils and I'll drill these out and put helicoils in them. And then with the springs and all, that'll give it some movement. These are the new side post battery cables I bought, and I decided not to use them because I also bought these covers that go on this part and they don't fit very well. So what I've done, I've ordered another set of cables. This is the new negative cable I ordered. It's already got the cover on it. This is the new positive cable here. Again, it's got the cover on it also. This is the sheet metal ground to chassis ground. This is the negative cable, and I added the extension to the sheet metal ground. This original spiky washer for the chassis ground was still there, so I'm going to reuse it. That'll help it get a good bite into that frame. The last thing we got to hook up for our grounds is our battery ground, and then our battery ground to sheet metal and sheet metal to chassis ground. So that's the negative complete. The negative was the easy part. Now I got to do something with this nightmare. This is my alternator harness. This eye is damaged, so I'm gonna crimp a new fitting on it. Okay, there's my alternator harness sorted out. That's not good. Yeah, that's not good either. That looks much better. So there's the start wire from the key. These two are power wires that terminate at the starter. The wiring's not perfect, but it's better than it was. This is the starter wire here, and these two power wires, they terminate at the starter. This is my alternator harness. That's the water temperature. This is the ATI and oil pressure. And these two terminate at the junction block. I got this heat shield that mounts to the back of the engine. Where them wires run close to that manifold, this will protect them from the heat. $19,000, $38,000, $59,000. I'm gonna put the 38,000 starter shim in and see if that helps it. So here's your key switch wire, and this is your power wires. Okay, I'm gonna put the shim in. I'm gonna hook this battery up and see how this starter shims sound. See if we need to add some more. I think I need to put the bigger shim in it. Okay, that's the thickest shim. I'm not too sure about that. The starter still sounds pretty bad. I tried some different combinations of shims on that starter, but I just ended up leaving the thickest one in there. This is the last wire I have to hook up. The wiring looks a lot better and it's a little safer now. One of the issues is all the fusible links have been cut out. So it's still not 100%. What I'm gonna try to do though is find a good engine harness from a donor truck and put that in here. Next, I'll repair this manifold. This is what I got to repair the manifold. These are M10 threads. I got the springs and the flange nuts. I've got this M10 thread repair kit and a 30-seconds drill bit. Take your time when you're tapping these holes. Go a little bit forward and then back it out a little bit. Keep your threads oiled up. If you break that tap off in there, it'll be hell to get out. Once you've tapped out the threads, you're going to put this insert in and see it's got a little tab here, a little tang. Put your tool onto the tang and then thread it in. Then you want to break that tang off. Just turn the tool the other way. Now the little tang is broke off. See how the little tang is broke off? Now you're ready to put your stud in. And that'll hold till the cows come home. Done. There we go, just like she rolled out the doors in Detroit. Got the new donut gasket and the new manifold gaskets. This spark plug heat shield is almost impossible to tighten without pulling the bolt out of the motor mount and lifting the engine because you can't get to it. But I can slip it onto that screw. There it goes. To tighten this down though, I'm gonna have to lift that motor a little bit. The back heat shield, I think I can get to the bolt on it. Put these plugs in. A little stormy today. This is the fuel tank for the 87 Chevrolet with throttle body injection, and it is perfect for what we're going to do to this truck. This is the fuel pump for the 87 throttle body. It's got a built-in fuel pump. This one is the return line from your throttle body. And this is the vent which goes to the canister. Slip this O-ring over this sending unit and pump. So it's got this locating slot here and right here. This lock ring has three little tabs that'll stop when it's fully tightened. There's one there, one right there, and one right there. I'm not going to get this real tight because when I put it in the truck, I may need to adjust it. I want to give y'all a little preview of what we got coming for this truck. This is a fuel injection system I picked up several years back. And I don't even know if they make it anymore. It's the Holley Avenger EFI. It's a 4-barrel throttle body. This is the ECM. It's got all the wiring you need. Handheld display. A couple of pressure transducers, and there's a high pressure fuel pump just in case the one in the tank don't work. We've got that as a backup. This box has got all your little small parts you might need. Fuel filter, gaskets. This is the throttle body. also have this distributor. It's supposed to work with that ECM. And there's a little grommet that goes here. And this is the factory ground location right there. I'm not going to connect any of this right now because this is just a temporary installation, because I'm going to remove this tank when I replace that cab corner. There's a rock guard that goes here also, but when I permanently mount the tank, I'll put this rock guard back on it. These lines are good. There's plenty of room in here, plenty of movement, nothing's in a bind. I only got 2 bolts holding this tank in because this is just a temporary installation. I'm gonna pull this tank right back out so I can replace this cab corner. This is the fuel neck assembly from my parts truck. It's for a step side. It goes on there like this. It kind of points forward a little bit. Put some gas in it, and this old girl will be ready to start. That's the rear brake line secure now. The 4x4 square body truck that has the factory suspensions, never been jacked up or modified, has a really good smooth ride. So that's what I'm going with. These are replacement shocks, and they should give it the original ride quality that it had when it left the factory. So that's what I'm going for. I'm not going to use these shock mounts from the replacement shocks. I'm going to use these that I got off the parts truck. Something interesting I noticed about these original shock mounts. These original upper shock mounts have a little V stamped into the end of them, and the nut was staked at the factory. It'd be nice if I could just bolt these shocks up, but that's not going to be the case. This hole where the upper shock mount goes has been walled out over time. So I'm gonna have to clean this mounting hole up and then put a little piece in here and weld it up and then drill it out for this shock mount. The other side is not wore out as bad, but you can tell it's got some wear here and here. This shock mount fits a little bit better, but it's still has some play in it. So I'm probably going to do the same thing to this side as I do to the other side. I might can get away with just welding a little bead here and here and then re-drilling it for this. This frame is about 160 thousandths. There's a little insert. The shock mount bolt is 0.616, and I've got a should be a 5/8, so 0.625, but showing 0.621. Perfect. This bit probably is not going to go through this weld as easy as it did as that plate over there. Deburr this hole. I'm going to hook this exhaust up while I'm waiting on that paint to dry. The original lower shock mounts were still with the truck, so we'll reuse them. They're grade 5 bolts. Got 3 marks. There's also an F stamped in there. Looking at the manual, it tells us to torque the lower attachment to 115 foot-pounds, and the upper attachment, it says 150 foot-pounds. For the upper attachment, I believe the 150 foot-pounds would be this side where the 5/8 threads are. These are 7/16, so I know that's not 150 foot-pounds, but the book doesn't tell you what to tighten that to. I'm also gonna install these bumpers. They're original and they're in good condition, so we'll reuse them. These shocks are under constant stress, so it's important that I get the torque correct. 150, that's about the limit of my torque wrench. I'm gonna torque this one to about 35. Now we'll have that nice GM smooth factory ride. Dad, what do you think about this truck?
Well, I think we made a lot of headway on it.
Okay. Well, you gonna help me start it?
Yes. Yeah, let's see if we can get started.
Okay, Dad, try to start it. All right, try it again. Okay, Dad, try it again. This carburetor just is not working. I'm getting fuel to the carburetor, but it's like it's blocked off. This is the last chance I have to get this thing running because I'm out of time. I've had this old Holly sitting around for a while. I'm gonna put it on there and see if it works. gonna try it one more time, but I'm out of time. And if it don't work this time, I'm just gonna have to give up. Guys and girls, I got fuel problems and I don't have enough time to see what's wrong with it, so I'm just gonna have to maybe try to get it run the next time. Well, what are the plans for this truck? In the next video, I'm gonna strip this thing down to the cab, pull an engine, transmission, transfer case. There'll be nothing left but the cab. I'm gonna repair the dent in the cab. I'm gonna replace both cab corners. I'll repair the corrosion in the floor pans. This is the engine I'm putting in the truck. I picked this up a couple of years ago. It's a GM 350HO crate motor. It's got 330 horsepower. This is the transmission I'm gonna put in the truck. It's a 700 R4 out of a Suburban 4-wheel drive. It's a K-case transmission. See, it has the K embossed right here. And these are built for the 4-wheel drives. One of the differences in the K-case transmission, it's a little bit stronger in this area here where your torque converter cover goes. And there's provisions for bracing, a couple extra braces on this transmission. I have another K-case transmission here, but one of the ears where it connects to this adapter for the transfer case is cracked. So the transmission is no good, but if I need parts, I can use this transmission for parts. Now, also, here's another transfer case that I can use if the other one's bad. The truck is gonna be a step side. This is the step side bed off the parts truck. It's in pretty good shape as far as the metal goes. May need to do a little bit of body work on this fender. The bed still has some of the original oak flooring in it. When I go back with new wood, I'm gonna put cypress in it. The reason I'm going with cypress is because it's lightweight and it's rot resistant. Some other parts that I've been collecting over the years, I've got everything I need for the factory style serpentine belt system. Got all the factory oil cooler parts. This truck used to have that GM A6 type compressor, big, heavy, long compressor. You can tell because of these mounts. That old A6 compressor, when this thing was new and charged on R12, it would blow ice cubes out the dash. I'm gonna recommission this air conditioning system. The only thing is, because I'm gonna have the factory serpentine belt, it'll have that smaller compressor and it'll be mounted on this side. I can get the later model Blazer air conditioning lines and they'll connect right up. I've been collecting other parts for this truck also. I have this used windshield washer tank. This is a new reproduction overflow tank. And I got some used seat belts and some used visors. This truck is missing a lot of stuff like this. A couple other little parts I've ordered. This is a exhaust isolator. I got one that's bad on that truck, so here's a replacement. This is a new old stock tank switcher. Came from a dealer. And then I got a new radiator cap. And actually they did spend a little bit of money on this truck before I bought it. It's a brand new radiator. Once I get through with repairing the cab, I'm gonna build it up from there. I don't have a color in mind. I don't want red. So guys and girls, y'all help me out. Put it in the comments what color you think I should paint this truck.